Alrighty, boys, welcome back to the best channel on the internet. Welcome back, guys. I appreciate all you guys loving the channel. I didn't know if I was going to have time to actually film a video today, but I do. I'm at a different setup right now. I've gone back home because at my place, I don't have live cable, which I'm trying to get for my watch along tomorrow. And a lot of you guys know I stream from an office, and I don't have live cable there. I do have live cable in another place. It's just complicated anyway. So we're here today, but I'm going to be filming a video because I didn't have time to do this video yesterday, and I wanted to talk about this situation with Salah and Klopp because I actually find it very interesting. And I can't show you guys the situation, but I've got this photo, obviously, and it tells a lot. Salah was very frustrated at Klopp. I pulled up a couple links to go through and talk about. Liverpool fans, let me know how you guys are feeling about this situation. I thought this insight was interesting from Jamie Carragher. The problem with the insight about what Jamie Carragher has said here is that I find these pundits get themselves in a lot of trouble because they always are very hypocritical about situations. And the reason I say this is that I feel like Jamie Carragher in this situation, because he played at Liverpool and was such a legend there and has that respect for the club, he's not as harsh on Liverpool as he is with other clubs. He really does go tough on some clubs sometimes about situations. And in this situation, you know, he probably takes the brighter route here, saying we don't need to take sides. Salah's frustrated and angry with Jurgen that he's not playing, and at that moment, he didn't want to fully embrace the boss. Jurgen understandably took exception. Mo was daft with his comment in the mix zone, but let's let them sort it out and enjoy the last few weeks together, right? If this happened, I agree. A lot of people are flaming him because if this did happen in another club, we would probably see him respond completely differently. And look, this guy has a lot of viewership. A lot of people listen to him, right? Obviously, you can see 6.4 million views on the tweet. Here's what I want to talk about, right? So Liverpool, for me, it's a really interesting one. Liverpool was actually my pick to win the league this year. I thought that Liverpool was going to be the team that won. In October, I said that I thought they would win, and I was wrong, right? But it really was a meltdown these last couple of days, match days for them, because they were right in the race, and they have just hit the worst wall of bad form. And now they're fully out of it. So they went all the way. And now Arsenal and Man City are in the race for the top one. So their last couple games in the Prem, I mean, it's just been one win against Fulham. They lost to Everton. They lost to Palace. They drew against West Ham. I mean, for how well Liverpool's been playing this year, not to mention as well with Liverpool, just giving the situation some backstory. They only have 4 losses this year. They've had 2 losses in their last 4 Prem games. It's been, and then, obviously the way they went out in Europa, they lost to Atalanta. And I think a lot of people were fully expecting the Liverpool that we have seen over the years was going to be that team that was going to come back against Atalanta. I personally did. I was watching the Atalanta game. I don't watch a ton of Europa League, but I was totally locked in for that because I'm like, you know what? I think they're going to beat Atalanta. I really thought so. And they didn't. They've struggled to find a way. And just even the last couple of weeks when I've been watching Liverpool compared to where Liverpool was at previously this season, they just haven't really looked that good. And I think Liverpool is one of those teams as well. I think Liverpool is definitely one of those teams as well that just really suffers from these international breaks. They have a lot of international players. And I just think, Salah is one of those players that I think sometimes when he's coming back from international breaks, he's not playing well enough. That's what kills you. If you're a Liverpool fan, Salah's action with going on an international break and coming back, it's been time and time a thing. It's not all the time, but it's happened. This was interesting to watch. I did watch this, but I'll let you guys watch this. This is what Salah was saying about how he found out that Klopp was actually retiring, right, from or at least not coaching anymore for them. I need to make sure that you guys can see this because obviously it's important you guys can see it, and let's watch it now.
I was surprised because he didn't tell anybody. Just like when you in a meeting, like there's a meeting 10:30, I was like, why meeting 10:30? Is usually like 12 o'clock if there's a meeting. Then I said the manager is here and his agent is here. I was like, okay, that means like he's gonna renew contract. And suddenly he says leaving, and I was like, why? And until now I didn't speak to him. Like I spoke to him once or twice, and he explained to me why. But I knew his point after. But in that time I was like, why would he leave? Like everything is fine. We're fighting for everything. Why he put that statement now? But yeah, this is his life, and he can do whatever.
So I think Salah tackles this really well because I think his ending statement, it's true, right? It's his life. He can do whatever he wants. I also agree that I was personally a little surprised when Klopp announced the retirement. And listen, Klopp has done so much for this club. Like, we don't even need to talk about it or discuss how or what he's done, because if you watch any Premier League football, you know what he has done. Like, it's an interesting one, though, because I thought that, yeah, the timing of the announcement was a really weird timing of it, right? Because Liverpool this year, you know, you go back, they were at the top and leading for quite a while, and they had a little bit of a lead. I don't know the max amount of points they had, but I think they had like maybe at some point even a 3 or 4 point lead. Don't quote me on that. So I do agree with Salah. I think a lot of people were looking at this saying that, you know, they were a little, you know, like I saw some Twitter thread about people were like kind of saying to Salah, like, you know, what, hating on this. And I'm like, you know what, I kind of agree with him. Sky Sports was, you know, the pundits on Sky Sports are saying they both have huge egos. Guys, the thing with these sports, man, and football and all this, like, this type of stuff happens, bro. We see this all the time, man. We see managers, we see star players colliding because, you know, a lot of the time star players are disagreeing sometimes with given tactics, and it's so situational to even not even label it. But essentially, oh my God, are they going to really do this to me right now? I pulled this up for you guys. No way they're going to do this to me. Anyways, AP's not going to do this. Shout out to AP. So what they basically said, and you know, this is like quote unquote, because I think people out quote these sometimes. So Klopp refused to divulge the reason behind the spat. Basically, Salah was a substitute for the game and was preparing to come on shortly after Antonio's 77th minute equalizer when Klopp went over to speak to the Egypt winger. Salah answered back with his arms outstretched, then started to point at Klopp, who was nodding while looking out onto the field. Darwin, who was also about to enter as a sub, got in between Salah and Klopp and pushed away his teammate. Right, so they had just a bit of a disagreement. And then this is where it kind of got out of context, this whole situation. Salah was asked for a comment, and then he said, "There's going to be fire today if I speak." So my take on it, right, obviously these players are really frustrated. I think Salah was really frustrated that he was coming off the bench in this game. It's just one of those where there are times where these players think they know more than the manager, and maybe in situations they do. I did a video recently about Garnacho being really upset with the sub. It happens, man. Like, that's the way that I see this. I think social media these days too, like, really brings this really into the light and way out of perspective than it is. I mean, for me, if I were to be as heated as Salah, I think it's easy to make a mistake. Like, let's not take this out of the question too. And this goes back to the Garnacho situation. And this is just how I feel with these situations. Players have a duty as well, just to report to the manager. They have a duty to not say things. And I think it's easy to lose your cool in the heat of the moment. I think we don't as the viewer know exactly what happened with Salah. We don't know why he was so upset. You know, we can make assumptions. We can make an assumption that maybe he's not happy with the playing time, getting subbed in the 77th. Maybe he wasn't happy with a certain instruction that Klopp gave him, or maybe he wasn't happy with the tactic that Klopp was giving out, right? We don't fully know what the full on was, and not a lot of it has been disclosed. But the problem here is that this situation, I think, wouldn't have been as large as it was unless Salah, you know, because he went on to say there's going to be fire today if I speak, right? And so what that indicates is that's one of those kind of like statements that just leaves everyone thinking, okay, what's going on here? Something's going on. It starts to put fans against the manager. It starts to put fans hating even more on the team. It's just one of those where Salah realistically shouldn't have said that. It doesn't matter if Salah's not happy with the playing time. It doesn't matter if Salah disagrees with the tactic. It doesn't matter if Salah doesn't understand why Klopp is doing certain tactics or leaving and announcing he's leaving in the middle of the season. That's for us to say. Like, that's for us as the viewers to comment on. That's for us to waffle about. These players need to be a little bit more careful. And I think with Salah's situation, like, Salah's heated in that moment, right? So it's one of those where it's not Salah at his actual state of being, right? He's actually in an emotional annoyance at that point. And so for him, when he says there's going to be fire today if I speak, it's one of those that he actually probably feels like in that moment when he said it, that he's not really actually saying anything that bad. But what that comment does is it just, man, does it set a fire off into the social media. And, you know, as you know, with Fulham, he was brought in as a sub. With West Ham, he was brought in as a sub. And let's be honest, Salah has been really poor. Like, he's not been playing as well. You know, if you look at Salah, if you go back even 2 months ago, and I know match ratings don't always tell the full story, but, you know, Salah playing-wise, right, was dropping 7 to 8s almost every game, right? And we look now, and let's just take even the last 4 matches, right? I mean, you know, it's been stinky. 6.4, 6.1, 6.59. I know when you get subbed in, you know, it's obviously match rating is a little bit different when that works. But if we even take the last 10 games, I mean, Salah hasn't put in an 8 since Newcastle, right? Which was all the way back in like 3 months ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago. So you know, it's been one of those for him where he's just not been playing that well recently either. And that's Salah's kind of had that over the years where like there's times he's just not playing well, and it again, as I said, it seems to have to do with that. Look, I think Salah's a fantastic player. I think these players, man, there's so much pressure, there's so much media on these guys, man, to perform. It's such a different pro now with social media than it was even 10 years ago. On the season, you know, 29 appearances, 17 goals. When he plays, they're 17-3, 9 assists as well. I mean, he's having a good season, right? It's not an all-time season for Salah, but he's still having a good season. The problem was it was a better season. It was a better season for him towards the start than really it is now. And obviously, you know, they're not off to the greatest of form either right now. You know, if we pull up Mo Salah and we look at Salah's recent matches, you know, he scored, you know, he did have a goal against Atalanta, right? He had a goal against United, but he's been a little bit more quiet recently, and I think the fans have been a little bit more critical. But again, it's the same thing with Klopp. Everything Salah has done for this club is insane. This club, in the last, what they've accomplished, you know, even with Mane and Firmino and all these players, Salah has been right there at the top. He's been one of those guys for them. So it's one of those where I think the article that got thrown out here, Liverpool expect Salah to stay this summer. So that if you're a Liverpool fan, that is good because there was a lot of talk that Salah was going to leave. He's 31. A lot of people were saying he's going to leave because of this situation. Look, my take on it, these types of things happen. You know, players get heated, players disagree, and it's a whole different echelon of a tier when you're a star player. And when you're a star player like Salah, when you feel like you've given everything to this club for X amount of time, it's easy for this situation to happen, for you to disagree and for something to get really taken out of context here. And then this is what happened, right, where you know, that's for me where this situation, it's a bit out of fault. But I'll tell you this, as much as I respect Klopp, I'll say this on the counter. I think at times Klopp comes like across really like heavy in an ego. I think there's times where you see Klopp, you know, Klopp has really had a lot of criticism over the years where he just doesn't take losses well. He's like me in foot champs. You know, when I take a loss, I turn into a crying baby and no one's ever better than me. It's the same situation with Jurgen Klopp. I mean, it really is. Like we see most post-game interviews where he's got some excuse and he doesn't take a lot of these losses with grace. I'm not saying he does that every time or I do that every time. But yeah, I think it goes both ways. But at the end of the day, you know, I know it takes a lot sometimes to resist the manager to even if you disagree with the tactics, stay quiet. I think it really got taken outside of that situation where they had that disagreement on the touchline to that there's going to be fire if I speak. And that's where this situation has me making this video right now. I don't think anything is really going to come of it. Klopp he's going to be going his own way. Look, I disagree with things Klopp has done. I disagree with the statement he made. I don't think he should have done that, right? I think that's a whole mentality thing. It can mess with a team. They're pushing for the league, like Salah said. And I think Salah maybe has some held up energy about that. Who knows what it's all about. I think Salah will end up staying at Liverpool. And I think, you know, we'll see what happens with Klopp. So thanks for watching, boys. Let me know what you guys think and see you later. How do I stop my video? Peace.